Hello, Reach Your Happy family. Welcome back to another episode of Reach Your Happy with Laura. I am Laura, a Reiki coach, here to bring to you a message that I received for the collective consciousness. So, when I was tuning into the energy, the first thing I felt was the brain. I feel that there is a massive purging happening right now, this intense clearing, this almost scooping out, this digging out of beliefs that no longer serve us. Like, we're really in this beautiful space to be able to see the ways in which we have limited ourselves. And it is mostly within our own mind. The limitations we put on ourselves are through our own mind, which is tough to hear, perhaps, because it's like, oh, shoot, I'm the problem. Yeah. Yes, that's true. But that's also really good news, because if you are the problem, then you can also be the solution. When we are challenged in some degree, and our mind starts telling us, you're done, you can't keep going, this is it, turn around, enough is enough, you're actually at about 40% of your capacity. And this goes back to when hunters and gatherers, we really needed to know how to conserve our energy. Our nervous system, which includes the brain, is wired that way. So maybe it's a physical thing you're going through right now. Keep this in mind the next time you're in a challenging space, that I am only at 40%. When the mind is saying enough, it's done, you're at only 40%. You are capable of so much more, but our mind is the thing that wants to keep us in this zone of knowing, which can also be said that it is the zone of safety. Because if you haven't traveled outside of that 40% before, your mind's setting alarms off, right? The brain is communicating to the nervous system, danger, this is a threat to our existence. So it makes sense that change is really challenging. Going for a run is really challenging. Lifting weights, putting yourself out there is really challenging, because our brain is communicating to our system, this is outside of the known territory of our life experience thus far. And so this equals a potential threat. Oftentimes it's not an actual threat, but our mind can tell us it is. And there's a huge difference with what our mind communicates versus what our intuition, our true knowing indicates. Our mind will often feed us fearful thoughts. Things like, you're not good enough, you're not capable, you could never do that. Whereas our intuitive knowing never is giving advice in that way. It's never, maybe I wouldn't say even negative or positive, it's just not fear-based. So when you're having a fearful thought, check in with that. All right, this is my mind. This is my brain's mechanism to try to protect me. But you know what? I'm very well aware I want to go forward in this vein, despite what my brain is telling me. And you will have every insecurity, every little thing that your brain could possibly conjure up, all the times you failed, trying to pull you back. But that's the thing about being a human, that I think there's some notion that we're supposed to not fail and just succeed. But most of life is failing until you succeed. And the most successful people, it's not that they never failed. It's not that they had a stroke of luck. It's not any of that. It's just that they were willing to get up every single time they failed and do it until they succeeded. So digging up this stuff that's getting unearthed within our own minds, realizing I'm the problem, is, so I gave this analogy in a group healing that I had last night, and I got this image of like a kernel stuck, really under your molar. And oh, how uncomfortable it is. And you try to get it out, you're trying to floss it out, you're trying to do everything you can, and your gum is getting more and more inflamed, more and more uncomfortable. But you have to take care of this thing. You know that it's uncomfortable to the point where it's like, I've got to do something. So maybe you get another tool in your medicine cabinet. Maybe you get outside help. And even when you extract that popcorn kernel and there is some level of like, oh my gosh, there's relief. Maybe your gum is bleeding. Maybe there's some swelling, some inflammation, some tenderness for the next couple days or even a week. And I shared this analogy to draw a line to healing. And what I'm talking about today about the mind stuff coming up, that when we address something, like there's some relief in having awareness about how you're holding yourself back or the ways that you could be doing more and you're not, making excuses in your mind, whatever it may be for you. There's a great discomfort with that. And even when you're aware of the problem or the popcorn kernel, as I'm talking about here, there's still a process to extracting that. And we can't jump from popcorn kernel in our teeth to relief. No, we have to try some things. We have to try to find some avenue that's going to provide the solution that we seek, which is ultimately healing, right? Which is ultimately getting that kernel out of your damn teeth. But even when you do, even when you figure out that belief that's holding you back and you face your fears and you do something you've never done before, or you have a conversation, or you put yourself into a workout plan that's like, yeah, this is hard and I'm going to choose it every day. And you commit to something like that for yourself, right? The kernel's been extracted, but there's still some tenderness there. There's still a potential that place that you've shifted away from could get re-aggravated. So on your healing journey, know that though you may have extracted something really big, you've come to some deep realization and you're feeling so good about it, it is very natural to also feel some tenderness, to feel that like achy, like this doesn't feel so great yet still, is this the right thing? And I encourage you to keep going with it anyway. Of course, there is a line of like, this really isn't a good fit for me. Like I should have never gone down this path. I don't want to do this. There's something to that. But I'm talking more inner stuff that though uncomfortable in the suffering that you will ultimately go through in extracting it and having to take accountability for your part and how this developed and the choices you've made from that, in the pain that could come from the extraction, from the shift in your life or in your relationships, whatever it may be, it's not meant to be all soft and cushy and always wonderful. But as you work your way through this process, that soft, comfortable, cushy feeling that you think you want, it's actually not about that. It's about freedom. It's about being there for yourself. It's about being the best, greatest expression of you that you could possibly conjure. It's about facing your fears. It's about noticing how your mind says, enough, we can't do this, and pushing on anyway, and showing yourself this little ring of what you know to be possible in your life. It gets to expand and you get to enjoy different experience you never would have without the discomfort of this process. And there is, I don't know if it's a Navy SEAL or where it comes from, but some branch of the military that talks about keeping your world small, not looking too far ahead at things. Because if you were to look at something that feels a bit insurmountable and you try to figure it all out from where you are, you get that paralysis analysis, right? You can't move forward. You're just like, how can I possibly do that? So the other day, this is my gym right behind me, I was working out, and because I don't have a squat rack here, in order to squat, I have to pick up the barbell, flip it onto my shoulders, jump and put it over my shoulders, and then do the squats. And then I have to do the same motion back down. So I was like, okay, shoot, I've never done this heavy before. Can I do it? And I'm like, yes, Laura, yes, you can do it. So I do the first round, fine. Go to the second one, and I can't get it to flip up. I'm using everything I got, and in my mind, I'm thinking, this is too heavy. I gotta go down weight. And then I put the bar down for a second. I was like, wait a second. As I work out, just personally for me, I feel like I get stronger. I feel like, oh, it's hot in here. I feel like, I don't know if it's the adrenaline or whatever it is. As I move along my workout, I get more motivated. It's like my mind was telling me, girl, I don't know if we can even do this today. And then as I get in it, I'm like, let's go. I get like super intense about it. So I'm like, this is my second round. There's no way I can't do this. And so I got to work with my mind a little bit. I had to tell my mind, Laura, we just got to pick up the bar, okay? Just one thing. We just got to pick up the bar. So I picked up the bar. And then I said, all right, the next thing, we just have to do one more thing, and that's cleaning it up onto your shoulders. We can do that. We can do one thing. We can just do that once, right? Yeah. And I got it up, and I was like, okay, good job. I'm like, you think we can get over your head? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Up and over, do my 10 squats, back up and over. And I did that for it was 10 rounds total. And every single time I had to go, we just got to lift it up. We just got to lift it up. We just got to thrust it up onto the shoulders. We just got to hoist it up over your head every single time. And it didn't get easier. I just got more focused. So our mind wants to lay on the couch. Our mind wants to do nothing. Our mind wants to just freeze and not do it because I've never done this weight before. Can I do it? I'm just going to say I can't because I don't want to get injured. I want to get, right? This is 40%. And I need to remind myself of that. And I need to remind myself one step at a time. Just pick up the bar. Just take one step. Because we can't change everything at once. It's absolutely impossible. So it's choosing one thing. If you want to strengthen your body, just focus on strengthening your body. And then from there, once you start strengthening your body, maybe you'll move on to the food department and start eating fuel that's more helpful for you. And then from there, maybe you refine that and get a little cleaner with it. You start cooking more at home. You start weighing out your food. You start tracking how much am I really consuming here? And is this enough for my output? And then maybe from there, right, we just kind of keep adding on and on. But when you try to just fix everything at once, you end up changing nothing because it's just too much. We are humans, and we are capable of incredible things. And when we try to just blow everything up at once, that causes overwhelm and often just throws us right off track. So just pick one thing. Maybe life is presenting it to you. I know that's how it works for me. Oh my gosh, I am so warm right now. Please hold. I'm gonna take my socks off. It's, I live in Massachusetts, and today it is 65-ish degrees Fahrenheit. And in my house, I have so many windows, so much sunlight, which is something I prayed for. But your girl's hot. Anyway, so life for me brings up something, and I'm like, oh, this is where I'm at right now. This is what I need to be focusing on. For me, I'm focusing on how I'm talking to myself, because I have spent most of my life not being very kind to myself, and it's not working for me. It's never worked for me, but now I'm really realizing, like, how silly is this that I'm doing the same thing expecting a different result? I can't go anywhere from here. So I have just had to pay closer attention to myself. I have to notice when I'm not in a great space, I'm not loving myself in some way. And it's like, don't go near the mirror then. Don't try to create a video. Don't try to show you, don't just go for a walk. Just do something really loving, because a walk feels really good to me. And I have to be focused on it like all day long. And it's hard. And I catch myself and I'm like, oh shoot, come back over, come back here. And my mind is just used to doing it. My mind's not punishing me. My mind is like, girl, this is what we do, right? What's up? It's like a girlfriend or a friend of yours or whatever, a client or maybe a coworker where you guys just talk a lot of shit. And to break that cycle, right? He's used to you talking shit. You guys go on your little morning coffee lap around the building and you talk shit. One day you show up and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And you try to steer the conversation a different way. He's going to be like, wait, excuse me? What? Wait, what about this? Ooh, what about this? And that person's going to try to pull forth what they're used to getting from you. Our mind is just our friend that's used to us being a certain way. So for us to start to shift, that's huge. And it takes consistent, maybe it's not effort, but deliberate focus on like, yes, I want this to be different. So I had a thing come up and I was like really feeling like I wanted to be an asshole to myself again. And I was on a walk and I had my fist balled up and I'm walking and I'm like this and I'm like, oh, so angry. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to let this go. My fists are showing me. I'm like holding on. I'm literally unwilling to let it go. And then I was like, let your fucking hands go. And this was an act of self-love, you know? It wasn't like, let your hands go. You're being dramatic. It was like, girl, you're holding on. It's okay. It's okay. Just let it start to move. And I'm actually realizing now I hold a lot of tension in my trap area, and it's probably because of this. So this is going to shift something in my physical body as well. Yay. So I slowly start to let my hands go, and I'm like, oh, actually I am kind of hot. I roll up my sleeves. I keep walking. I'm power walking because I'm feeling all types of things. And as I'm walking, I start to notice like I'm not really breathing all that well. So then I put my hand on my chest and I was going like this and I was like, whew. I'm like, oh my gosh, that feels so good to breathe. And then my hands, I could still feel this like tension, this like anger in my hands. So I started to just shake out my arms and I'm walking and I'm just like shaking like a dog. I'm like, oh my God. And I start to have tears come out. I have this realization about a childhood wound that I didn't even know existed, you guys. I didn't even know. I do this for a living. I talk to people all freaking day long with stuff, and it's a beautiful opportunity to reflect on my stuff, but I have never touched on this belief. My brain had tucked that down so far into wherever a brain may tuck something that doesn't want to be or doesn't have the space to be revealed. And in letting go and in rubbing my heart, which I've never done before when I was that enraged, it started to like boom, 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 break apart. And it came out in tears and it felt so wonderful to just hold space for me. And I had this vision of me as a little girl feeling a certain kind of way. And I was still reacting from that little girl's perspective. And I didn't try to talk that version of me out of it. I was just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh, it's just, so loving. I have goosebumps. Oh, thank the gods. Oh, it feels so good to have that shift. But you know how fucking hard that was to let the anger go? Why? Why is that so hard? The brain, safety, everything I mentioned before. And it's like we want to feel good. We want to feel better, but yet we grasp and we hold and we tense and we clench. And we look at other people. You're not being who I need you to be for me. You should have treated me better. No. Guys, it's about us. You have been willing, you didn't love yourself enough to not put up with that bullshit, to not say it like it is, to not draw a line, to not have enough self-respect. That's on us. That's not on anybody in the world. We teach people how to love us by the way we love us. And I have been fortunate enough to give such a large amount of love to people in my life, and to have called forth people that love me. And I think a lot of that comes from the parents that I have that love me so deeply. Like my dad, he like wouldn't, I mean, he'd get frustrated with me, like, but mostly he would always just try to soften it, try to be gentle, you know? When I was really, and I had my fist balled up, he'd be like, don't smile. Don't smile, Laura. Don't you do it, Law. Don't do it. And I'd be like, you know, and what a gift that is. And I know not everybody has that gift, but I share that because I have so much love in my life. And I bet you do too. Maybe you're not seeing it. Maybe you're just, it's like, I see that love, but I feel like I almost block it. I'm not allowing that love to penetrate me, to come into my heart, to fill my heart when I'm having a bad day, remembering, oh, I have so many people that love me. It's okay. It's okay. You know, I can't access that unless I'm being that for myself. So yes, I've called in Brad and all these different people, and maybe that's divine forces at work. I don't know. But I guess to some degree, I have always loved myself, but there was a wall of like, but maybe I shouldn't. And on that walk, showing up for myself, that wall just went down. And when I tell you, I feel good, I feel so good. Not because of something my husband did, not because of something my sibling or my dad or my mom didn't come back down from heaven, you know, like none of that happened. I showed up for me. I was treated myself like a precious human life that I am, instead of going that same old track. But my mind was fighting me, but it was safe, right? Like it was such a good idea to be so loving to me, but my mind's like, ma'am, excuse me. Don't do it, don't. Why? Because I've just not done it for so long. It was unfamiliar to me. So, good luck. No, I'm kidding. Know that life is going to keep bringing you chances to review what's going on inside. Everyone around you is just beaming that back to you. Everyone you interact with is showing you a bit about yourself. And if you have a strong judgment about someone, it's probably something in you're hiding, you're shameful about, you're afraid to admit. Not exactly what that person's going through, but there's some shame. And that's why we pass judgment. So when you're really pissed off at someone, when you're frustrated, let it be a chance to look back at you and rub your heart, unclench your fist, take a deep breath, notice. And I'm telling you, our body is so fucking incredible. It just will deliver to you a little boop, a little gift, a little message, a little insight, a little clarity, a little memory flashback, a little something that's going to break this knot free for you. All right, that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you, I appreciate you, and happy healing to you, my friends.